Justice De Castro.
I just want to get your opinion
Yes, Your Honor.
about the other side of the two issues that you mentioned earlier. The law defines reproductive health rights to include, among others, the right to attain the highest standard of sexual health and reproductive health. And then the law defines sexual health as the possibility of having pleasurable and safe sexual experiences, which means that you have elevated the ability to have pleasurable and safe sexual experiences. And you said that this is meant to allow women to have a pleasurable sexual experience just like a man by taking contraceptives. Now let us look at the other side of this issue. Assuming that a woman, a wife, refuses to take contraceptives, and because of that, she denies her husband access to her body because she fears pregnancy. Since this is a right not only of the woman but also the right of a man, will this now be considered the refusal of the woman to take contraceptives, which denies such right to a man to enjoy a sexual experience with his wife, now amount to a ground to annul marriage on ground of psychological incapacity because of the inability of the woman to assume or to assume the responsibilities that is recognized here under this RH law? Or are we moving towards that direction of using this as a means or as a ground to annul marriage?
Actually, Your Honor, even without the reproductive health law, there is the concept and there is a crime defined as marital rape. So without the reproductive health law in the picture, a man cannot force himself upon his wife. So a wife at any time, whether it's because she is fertile and she doesn't want to get pregnant, or because she has a headache, or she had a hard time taking care of her 8 children, has the right to say no to her husband. So it has nothing to do with the reproductive health law, Your Honor.
Think that after the passage of this law, this can be used
No, Your
as
Honor.
a basis?
No, Your
Because you
Honor.
have elevated, the law elevated to a right.
Your Honor, the right has...
Before there was no such right, but now you have elevated to a right.
Actually, Your Honor, we are signatories of international conventions that recognize this right. So all we did was include it in our law so that this international treaty or convention that we are a signatory to is now embodied in our national law. And reproductive health rights, Your Honor, is really considered a human right. So there is nothing really that we as the authors of the law can do, but it does not in any way promote annulment or promote the dysfunction or disunity of the family. Your Honor, if I may, would Her Honor allow me to read a certain portion of the Senate deliberations on this matter? Your Honor, this is actually the statements made by Senator Alan Cayetano when the phrase safe and satisfying sex was being debated. He said, in the past, yung sex life ng mag-asawa ay naapektuhan dahil sa pag-iisip ng mga lalaki. For example, ang paniniwala ng lalaki, hindi pwedeng tumanggi yung babae. Ang paniniwala ng lalaki, kahit kapapanganak pa lamang, o kahit buntis, o kahit mayroon siya, at hindi siya komportable, ay pwede siyang gamitin ng lalaki. And he went on, Your Honor, to explain that precisely the times have changed now, and we now recognize that these are rights of women. So, Your Honor, what we tried to embody in this law is the right of women to their own bodies, such that if their husband wants to have sex with them all the time, and they are going to get pregnant again, they do have that right, Your Honor, to say no to sex. And we are recognizing here that that right is a reproductive health right, which we must honor.
But the law emphasizes pleasurable and safe sexual experience.
Yes, Your Honor.
That is what has been elevated to a right.
Yes,
under
Your
this
Honor.
law.
That is absolutely
So
correct.
It's not the protection from refusing to engage in the sexual act with a husband. That is just
Your
I'm
Honor,
just bringing this out as
And
one,
I'm
as the
happy.
other side.
I am happy. Her Honor is mentioning that. If I may continue to read from the transcripts again from Senator Alan. So my first point, Mr. President, bakit natin ayaw, referring to the term safe and satisfying sex? Why are we uncomfortable? If we are uncomfortable. And if we all desire a safe and fulfilling sex life, is it malaswa per se? Because if it is malaswa per se, then maybe we can find a language that means the same thing. I came from a Catholic school, sa Lasal. Everyone was laughing when they used the word seeping. Of course, there are dirtier words to use meaning sex. But it is accepted to Filipinos to use seeping because it sounds scientific. It does not sound malaswa. So if we are saying that the English term, again, safe and satisfying sex is malaswa, then let us find another term. But if we are just saying we are uncomfortable because we are more prude and we are more conservative, do we sacrifice the substance of that paragraph just to satisfy being prude? So it is something, Your Honor, that people still fail to understand, that a woman is entitled to safe sex. Safe meaning she will not get pregnant, she will not get a disease. Many women are unconscious of the fact that the men they sleep with, their husbands, bring a disease when they have sex with them. She is entitled to that. Now, if she knows her husband is fooling around, how can she have satisfying sex? How can we deny that? That is a right, Your Honor, and that is a right we recognize.
Well, I just brought that up because you have elevated, this law elevated this to a right. And I have gone through so many international conventions, treaties. I have not found any convention recognizing this as a right. It is only in a soft convention. When I say soft convention, it's not an international agreement in the sense that we understand it. That this right is used. Well,
Your Honor,
my research may not be exhaustive, but please try to see if there is an international
there
agreement
is, Your Honor,
or treaty.
This is the Convention on Population and Development and CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination Against Discrimination Against
Will you
Women.
point that out? Because I tried to look for that.
Yes, Your Honor. If we can get it while I am answering, I will be happy.
I just want to find out if we're moving towards the direction of using this as a basis to annul marriages or to go towards the enactment of a law on divorce.
That is not the intention, Your Honor. I can put on record that that was never discussed in any context whatsoever. The only context of which it was used was it the proper language, as Senator Alan had mentioned, and my explanation to about 6 male senators of how important it is for women to have the right to safe and satisfying sex. It is interesting to note that it was men who were questioning why women have that right to safe and satisfying sex. And I think it is for women to decide. But what we did was we put it in the law. As Senator Alan also said, it was only after attending many seminars with his wife, the mayor, when he realized that in fact, many women are denied this for fear of depriving their husband.
But yes, but this is gender neutral. So this is not only an assurance for women, but an assurance for men.
Oh, definitely, Your Honor. It is gender neutral.
Yeah, it's gender neutral.
But
yes. A man can also demand.
Oh, definitely.
And the refusal of a woman who do not want to take contraceptives may be construed as a denial of the right of a man to have access to her body because she refuses to take contraceptive. That's what I'm trying to point out. The other side of the
yes.
But anyway,
I believe, just so Her Honor knows, that was never taken up in the context of the debates.
Let's go now to another side of the coin.
Yes, Your Honor.
You said that the RH bill uphold the dignity of a woman. Now, the other side of it is that it may be degrading to a woman because the woman's body is polluted in order that that woman, whether married or unmarried, or a minor, can be accessible to the sexual advances of a man because there is no fear of pregnancy. So just like that woman whom you said had already 8 children, then she can become a sex object to her husband because there's no fear of pregnancy.
She probably already was, Your Honor, with 8 children that she did not want. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Do you think that is upholding the dignity of that woman simply because she can now take contraceptives and her husband can have access to her body anytime he wants?
Your Honor,
And the use of contraceptive, as mentioned by some study, would pollute her body and alter the natural course of her reproductive system.
Your Honor, I'd be happy to answer now. Can the use of the contraceptive be an excuse for anyone to demand from their partner? I don't think so, Your Honor. I think in a responsible relationship, there must be give and take, and the use of contraceptive can never be used as an excuse. Her Honor referred to the dignity of a woman. The dignity of a woman came into this picture, Your Honor, because many women have children beyond their control, despite their desire to space it or to wait a while, precisely because they do not have the tools to plan their family. That is where the dignity of the woman is affected, Your Honor. When they cannot plan and they are forced to have one child after another, of course they will love their children after the child is born, but the pain of a mother not being able to feed her child when she'd rather wait a few more years, maybe she wants to go to school, she wants to go to TESDA to get a livelihood program so that she can feed her 5 children before having her 6. That is what we are upholding. The right of these women to make choices, the right of these women to plan their family, and consistent with their obligations under the Constitution to be responsible parents. That is all we are trying to do here, Your Honor. We are not forcing anyone to do anything that they do not want. And as to Her Honor's statement on the use of contraceptive polluting a woman's body, like I said, Your Honor, medicines of all kind have some kind of side effect, and each person must decide what is right for them. If they prefer natural family planning, so be it. If they prefer to use a condom which does not have chemicals, so be it. If they want to use something else, that is what the state provides. To say that this pollutes her body, Your Honor, is a little bit an exaggeration or not accurate, because anytime you ingest something, even natural food that has been sprayed with pesticide, has some kind of toxin there. So, Your Honor, it would not be accurate to portray contraceptives in that light.
I'm sorry to disagree that the analogy is exactly correct.
Well, Your Honor, these products have passed the WHO and our FDA, and therefore, Your Honor, I have no basis, and I believe this honorable court has no basis either to disagree scientifically with those findings. We may disagree morally. We may disagree because we saw one study that purports to have some kind of evidence, but the conclusive evidence available, Your Honor, if these are over and above, weighing the risk, the benefit and the risk, are products that are safe and effective.
Referring to the risk of
Which one, Your Honor?
contraceptive, that what I'm trying to say is that when you take a contraceptive because it is meant to cure an illness, that is different when you take a contraceptive in order that you will not become pregnant. Because the risk that you are trying to avoid is having another mouth to feed, having another child to send to school. Those are the things that the use of contraceptive may bring about. It's not as imminent as when you take a a medicine to cure an illness, the effect is immediate. But here, when it is contraceptive in order to prevent pregnancy, the benefit is something that is long range. It's not being able to feed another child or to send another child to school and so forth. That is only my
Your
point.
Honor,
But the analogy is not exactly the same in terms of risk.
Your Honor, allow me to give you another analogy. Reproductive health refers to the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Not just physical, but mental and social. Your Honor, I will share with you my personal circumstance. The fourth child that I bared had a chromosomal disorder called trisomy 13. He could not see, he could not hear, he could not swallow his own food, he had an enlarged heart, and he had tumors in his kidney. He was told that he would not live. Well, thankfully, he lived for 9 months. But after that, I could not bear to see the sight of another child. My mental and my social well-being was affected. And I needed to be on contraceptives so that I could have intimate relationships with my husband. But I could not have another child. And many women are faced with similar circumstances, Your Honor. Either it affects their lives because the next child they cannot feed, or the next child they cannot take care of because they are emotionally burdened by problems that we will never experience. And that is the reason, Your Honor, that we make this available to people.
Special circumstances, but I think
But Your Honor,
the
they
law would allow
occur.
indiscriminate distribution of contraceptives.
That is where Her Honor, that is where I will beg to disagree with Her Honor. In the Senate, they use the word parang ice cream truck. Her Honor mentioned indiscriminate distribution. That is not correct, Your Honor. It will be available in public health facilities with public health professionals discussing with the women what is the best option available to them. It is incorrect to believe that we will be spreading this as if it is ice cream, as if pinaaambunan natin sila ng candy. Hindi po totoo yun, Your Honor. We take this responsibility seriously, and the Department of Health takes it seriously as well. And it would be reading malice into the law to believe otherwise.
It's not reading malice into the law. It's a question of how the law will be applied or implemented as it is written now.
As it is written now,
we're not imputing any bad motive or
As it is
malice on the part of Congress.
as it is written, Your Honor, it will be available in health facilities. There is nothing else that says otherwise, Your Honor, but we know for a fact that there are groups who would like this honorable court to believe that it will be spread all over the place. First of all, we don't even have the funding to spread it all over the place. The target is the fifth lowest quintile of poor women. That is the first target because they are the ones who need it the most, because they are the ones who cannot afford.
Health facilities will precede the distribution of...
Sorry, Your Honor, what is the question?
Health facilities will precede the establishment of health facilities and the appointment of adequate medical or health care service providers will precede the distribution of contraceptives.
Actually, Your Honor, this
and
is...
other reproductive health
Actually, Your
devices.
Honor, this is a combined effort of the national government through the Department of Health and the LGUs. So the Department of Health will set the policies, and they will also be in charge of the funding. That is why you will find the funding in the GAA. And then they will assist LGUs in the actual dissemination of the information, but it is the LGU's health workers that will be in charge of the actual patient to health worker contact and providing the contact, the information and the services, Your Honor.
Determine what is medically safe and what is quality health care services. Who will determine
Medically
this?
safe,
In relation to Section 23? providing for penal sanctions?
Well, medically safe products, Your Honor, it falls within the jurisdiction of the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA.
In other words, no doctor can contradict any decision that the FDA will make with regards to what is medically safe and what is a quality health care service.
Well, like all doctors, Your Honor, I have had the opportunity, because of a child who lived his whole life in the hospital, consult with many doctors. I also took care of my father who had liver cancer. All doctors will share their opinion with you, and the law does not take it against the doctors if their opinions, if the doctor has personal opinions that state, I have a preference for this drug because it seems to be more effective. I do not like this one because it seems the side effects are quite obvious when you're of a certain age. As long as it is consistent with the literature, there is no crime being created. There is nothing punishable on the side of the healthcare provider, Your Honor.
That is not what the law says. It says the refusal to provide these medically safe products.
Is Her Honor referring to section 23, subsection 2? Sorry?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Well, Your Honor, section 2 refers to medically safe reproductive health procedure. The import of that provision really is to say that health providers must provide certain acceptable procedures without need of getting consent. The issue here, Your Honor, is not the medically safe procedure, but the consent. So the medically safe procedure was simply inserted to ensure that we are not promoting a medically unsafe or illegal procedure like abortion. So the object of this is to say that health providers must perform such procedure without waiting for the consent.
But it has to be medically safe, and so there must be a prior determination what is medically safe. So who will determine this? It does not say that it is the doctor who will determine what is medically safe.
No, Your Honor, this is a general phrase that was used to ensure that we are referring to a procedure that is known to be medically and legally safe. For example, a ligation or a vasectomy. It is known to be. It was not trying to introduce some new type of procedure. That is the purpose of that phrase, legally and medically safe. In other words, hindi naman ho pinag-uusapan kung legally or medical safe. Given na po yun. The issue is, assuming that this procedure is a routine procedure, then the issue is, does he have to get the consent of either the spouse or the parent? That is the import of this provision, Your Honor.
What about healthcare services? Who determines that the healthcare services is of quality
What provision is Her Honor reading for, so I can respond in
context? It says,
context?
refuse to extend quality health care services and information on account of a person's marital status, gender, age. But the thing here is personal circumstances or nature of work are included.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would this mean that a doctor should not take into account the personal circumstances, the age, and other situation of the patient?
I am happy to respond, Your Honor. What it means is that we are prohibiting a doctor from refusing to provide good care to a patient because they want to discriminate a patient because bata siya. Let's say pumunta po doon 14 years old buntis. And the doctor feels, kaya ka buntis kasi ang landi-landi mong bata ka. The doctor cannot refuse to give care to this patient because she is young, she's only a teenager, and that's why you say religious conviction or personal circumstances. A doctor cannot refuse to give health care to a prostitute because of her personal circumstances. That is what we're saying, that the doctor must continue to provide the kind of health care that he provides to anyone else and not judge a person by these circumstances that were mentioned, Your Honor.
From what I understand from the discussions earlier, it will be the FDA who will have the final say on what is medically safe, what is
hindi
correct
po.
information,
On products
what
lang.
is quality healthcare services. So the FDA is very powerful. It will set the guidelines for all doctors, and no doctor can disagree with that. And any refusal to abide by the decision of the FDA will be a punishable act under this law.
Your Honor, yes, indeed, the FDA is very powerful, but only with respect to products and devices as defined in the FDA law. I am familiar, Your Honor, because I am also the sponsor of the FDA law. So, the scope of the FDA law is medical products, devices, food, and cosmetics. It does not include the statements that Her Honor mentioned really was simply in reference to providing acceptable quality care. That has nothing to do with the FDA, Your Honor.